Hey guys, it's Chris here with the Lumira Expert Team. As we all know, having a good data set is really important when it comes to reporting, and it's no different with producing visualizations with SAP Lumira. Your data needs to be configured to get the most out of Lumira. So we're going to go over the process of organizing your data to work with SAP Lumira and give you some other tips along the way. So to do this, I have Anthony, also from the SAP Lumira Expert Team.
Hi Chris.
Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing well, how are you?
Excellent. So Anthony's going to walk us through this process and see what we can learn here. So Anthony, what do we got here and what do we need to do with it?
All right, Chris. Well, here we have a raw data set which I had just downloaded directly from a data source online. And usually I like to start off by scanning the data set to look for any fields which are either irrelevant or contain a bunch of missing values. So as I'm scanning through here, I notice that there's a bunch of columns at the end of my data set which I don't need. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete those so that they're not, so that my data is a little bit easier to read at this time. And then I also notice that the state column here for some reason is at the end of my data set, but I like to see that at the very front. So I'm just simply copying and pasting that into the first column so that I can see that.
Okay, so after we've done that, what else can we do to make the data look a little nicer prior to uploading it to Lumira?
I usually like to just make my headings pop out a little bit more here in Excel. So I'm simply bolding and underlining my first row, which indicates that those are my headings. And additionally, I like to resize all of my columns so that I can kind of take a look at what the headings are and change any of them if I need to, so that I understand what they stand for. And if you forget to do this step, you can actually do it within Lumira itself as well. So it's not a big deal if you kind of forget to do so at this point.
Okay, so after we acquire the data in, if there's any changes to be made, we can do it then.
In terms of renaming your headings, yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. So are we all ready to go now?
Right, so we're just about done here. So I'm just rescanning the document one more time, and as I'm doing that, I just noticed here actually that there's a few more columns that have a lot of zero values, and that's not really gonna help us in our data set here. So I'm just going to delete it at this point as well, just because we're not really gonna need it with an SAP Lumira. It's just not gonna work with what we want to do with it. Alright, so now that we're pretty happy with our data set, we're simply going to save it in Excel and upload it to Lumira.
Yeah, I guess if you don't save it, it's not going to show up in Lumira, is it?
That's right, Chris. Yeah, we got to make sure we do that step. Alright, so now we're simply going through the process of acquiring data and loading it into Lumira. Once it's been uploaded, I need to double check my data. So I just usually go through it and check it within Lumira to make sure that all the changes that I made within Excel are reflected in here. And as I check and go through it, I notice that it's all accurate, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Okay, Anthony. So we've cleaned up our data in Excel. We've acquired it successfully into Lumira. We're ready to create our visualization, right?
That's right, Chris. So we just click the Create button now, and this will take us into the main screen of Lumira. Once we're here, we're going to do a little bit more data manipulation in order to help us make the visualizations and just to manage our data a little bit easier. So the first thing we're going to do will be to create a geographical hierarchy, which will allow me to populate geomaps and other grade maps a little bit easier, or charts.
Okay, Anthony, now show me what we can do with this data. Now I know when I do some visualizations, they don't look very nice. They look all busy and cluttered. So how do I ensure I choose the correct type of visualization?
Well, it comes down to personal preference mostly there, Chris. So here I'll demonstrate a simple bar graph that will kind of show us energy consumption by state. And I find that the bar charts are best when I want to create a comparison chart like this, whereas line graphs are really great to show trends over a given period of time. So what I'll also demonstrate here is a chart that'll be too busy. So in this dual axis graph, which I'm about to create for us, we'll find that there are too many attributes along the x-axis, which make it too busy of a graph for us to really be able to soak in the information in a nice way. And it just isn't displayed in a very desirable way. So this is the chart I was talking about.
Yeah, that looks like one of mine.
Yeah, so it's very busy, and it's important to check and make sure that the graph you use is desirable for for what we wish to show.
Okay, so how do I demonstrate this in a nicer fashion?
Well, we can actually, we have the option to create a combined line and bar chart, which will show us the relationship between two values. And in this example, we'll notice that the line graph is a little bit overpowered by the bar chart. And that's okay because we can actually change the order of our primary values within our measures section there. So by simply switching the order of that, we can actually change which graph is, or which value is represented by a graph and which value is represented by a bar chart. So there's one more step we can take to make our visualization a little bit easier to read, and that's just simply by changing the color palette to make it a little bit more flashy. So we just go into File, Preferences, and then into Charts, and then here I just select a different color palette, make my template flashy, and we can see that that gives me a little bit of a better contrast there between my bar chart and line graph.
Excellent. Hey, thanks, Anthony. We hope you guys enjoyed the video and hope it helps you in preparing your data for SAP Lumira so that you can create those stunning visualizations that show what your data is saying. Thanks for joining Anthony and myself today, and as always, be sure to send us any questions you may have or video requests for processes that you'd like to see us tackle.
Bye-bye.